So, we have Rick Scott, who is a Republican senator, and he wanted to release an agenda for the Republican Party to run on in the midterms. Now, on the one hand, that is a noble thing to do because he wants to be upfront with, here's what our party stands for. And so I respect the fact that there's transparency there. He's like, these are the things I believe. Good. The problem is almost everything on that list is mind-numbingly stupid. And I mean that, man. We went through it in a previous segment. You guys can go watch that. I got kind of animated about it because it was just stunning. Some of the stuff isn't even like policy prescriptions. It's like vague right-wing slogans from memes. It's crazy. Well, we had Rick Scott go on Fox News where John Roberts, the host, is actually going to press him on this. Now, the reason why, I should be clear about this, the reason why Roberts is pressing him is for the very simple reason that Mitch McConnell did not greenlight what Rick Scott did here. Mitch McConnell's basically the head of the Republican Party right now. And he's like, I didn't say this was okay. Why are you telling people that we support all these things? We don't even support a lot of these things. Now, Republicans do, but Mitch McConnell's trying to cover his ass because Mitch McConnell knows those things aren't popular. You can't say those things. So look at this back and forth. The Fox News host is actually going to pretty aggressively go after Rick Scott for one of his dumbest ideas in his policy proposal.
You recently put out an 11-point plan to rescue America, two of the big points of which are, quote, all Americans should pay some income tax to have skin in the game, even if a small amount. Currently, over half of Americans pay no income tax. It also says all federal legislation sunsets in 5 years. If a law is worth keeping, Congress can pass it again. So that would raise taxes on half of Americans and potentially sunset programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Why would you propose something like that in an election year?
Sure. Well, John, that's, of course, the Democrat talking points. It's a 11-step plan.
No, it's in the plan. It's in the plan.
But here's this thing about reality for a second. First off, let's talk about Medicare.
But Senator, hang on.
John.
So it's not a Democratic talking point. It's in the plan.
And also in the plan, it says we ought to every year talk about exactly how we're going to fix Medicare and Social Security. Here's what's happening. No one that I know of wants to sunset Medicare or Social Security. But what we're doing is we don't even talk about it. Medicare goes bankrupt in 4 years. Social Security goes bankrupt in 12 years. I think we ought to figure out how we preserve those programs. Every program that we care about, we ought to stop and take the time to preserve those programs. I just fought the postal bill because it put more responsibility on Medicare and took it off the Postal Service and put Medicare in a worse position. Now, let's go back. Let's talk about taxes for a second. I'll put my record up against anybody on tax cuts. I cut taxes and fees 100 times as governor. But here's what's unfair. We have people that could go to work and have figured out how to have government pay their way. That's not right. They ought to have some skin in the game. I don't care if it's $1. We ought to all be in this together. I'm going to continue to focus on reducing taxes. That's what I've done my whole life. But there's an 11-step plan. Go through it. Everybody's not going to agree with everything. 128 policy points. Let's be bold. Go to rescueamerica.com. Give me your ideas, or you can text America to 22044. Give me your ideas. I want to change this country. The woke left controls everything. We got to win, and we got to change the country.
As you said, not everyone agrees with it, and one of the people that doesn't agree with it is Mitch McConnell. Here's what he said.
Let me tell you what would not be a part of our agenda. We will not have as part of our agenda a bill that raises taxes on half of the American people and sunsets Social Security and Medicare within 5 years. That will not be part of a Republican Senate majority agenda.
Now, a few days after he said that, you penned a Wall Street Journal op-ed about your plan titled, Why I'm Defying Beltway Cowardice. Are you calling Mitch McConnell a coward?
What I'm saying is, I've been in D.C. for 3 years, right? I want to get something done.
Yes, and the things you want to get done are bad. That's the point. That's the point. The things you want to do are not good for Americans. It would hurt Americans. That's the point. Okay, let's go through this. He does he had his policy plan quoted to his face by John Roberts. He's like, this is the Democratic talking points. You literally wrote it verbatim in your own plan that this is what you want to do. And then he reiterates it there too in the answer. A lot of Americans don't pay even $1 in federal taxes. Shouldn't they have to pay at least $1? He's talking about the poorest 50% of Americans. You want to know why they don't, quote unquote, pay $1 in federal taxes, by the way? Because they don't have any fucking money. They don't have any money. They can't afford to pay it. And by the way, what he's not telling you is that they pay state taxes, and they pay local taxes, and they pay sales taxes, and they pay plenty of taxes. They don't pay any federal taxes because they don't have the money to do it because they are poor or lower middle class. Do you understand that? So, but I love this because it's mask off. That's what this is. This is a Republican being honest about what he really believes in regards to taxes. Because my entire life, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have had the same experience, the one argument that you've heard from Republicans and, the politicians and the voters, the one area where they tried to outflank the Democrats in a more populist way consistently is this idea of like, look, whole reason I'm a Republican is because I want you to be able to keep your own money and make your own decisions with that money. I don't want the federal government taking it and putting it towards a bunch of stupid stuff. So I want you to have more of your own money and make your own decisions. But this is something my uncle, who's passed away now, he's been gone for a while, but he was a hardcore Republican, he was a fundamentalist Christian. It's one of the things he always told me. He's like, once you start making a paycheck, you'll understand. That's why you want to vote Republican, you want to keep your own money. But what he never understood, because he never went through the plans with a fine-tooth comb. I remember going back and breaking down the McCain versus Obama plans in 2008 about this. The Republicans, when they talk about cutting taxes, they're never talking about the working class and the poor. They are always talking about the wealthy. Usually the top 1%. Oftentimes they're talking about like the top 10% or 15%. But if you look at their proposals, they very clearly like raising taxes on the middle class and the poor. That's what they like doing. And he's admitting it here. At least he's admitting it. He's being honest. Yeah, the bottom 50%. Now he tries to weasel out of it when he's called Democratic talking points. But then he goes on to restate it. Yeah, you should pay taxes if you're in the bottom 50%. They can't afford it. They can't afford it. So tax cuts are awesome unless the people don't have a lot of money, in which case we should raise their taxes. And so who do you want to cut it for? The wealthy. That's what he wants to do for the wealthy. So it's just astonishing. Now the whole thing on sunsetting Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, he's caught on that too. He was caught speeding because his only answer is, well, what we need to do is talk about how we're going to fix these programs. So what he's saying is implement the thing about sunsetting it, and then we'll readdress it in Congress as we go along. Does anybody believe they'd actually do that if they sunset it? No. This is the same thing. They do this with tax loopholes all the time. There's all these loopholes and deductions for the wealthy. They put in those loopholes and those deductions, and then they have the nerve to say, yeah, but we're going to come back and we'll get rid of them. No, you're not. They're going to stay there, and they're going to stay there permanently. And if you get rid of these programs, they're going to be gone permanently. So he's caught speeding. He also lies and says Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 4 years. Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 12 years. Let me tell you something. I've been doing this show for about a decade. They've been saying that since I was on the air. Back in like 2012, I'm doing a show, and they used to say, oh, Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 4 years. It's been more than 4 years, bitch. It's still around. Every time they calculate the numbers, they say, oh, it's X amount of years in the future. It hasn't gone bankrupt yet. And by the way, even if it would go bankrupt, the way to fix it is so easy. Social Security in particular, it is so easy. You just raise the cap on the payroll tax. So instead of your Social Security only gets paid by your first it's about $110,000. If you raise that cap, then you can fund it as far as the eye can see. Because here's a good example to describe how it works right now. Like LeBron James only pays that tax on his first $106,000 that he makes. But if you tax him on all the money he makes, let's say whatever it is, $20 million in a year, well, then you got a lot more money coming in. So the rich folks can fund Social Security more into the future. Why not? That's the way to do it if you're going to do anything. His ideas are just bad. And even Fox News is coming after him. But make no mistake about it, it's because Mitch McConnell doesn't like this, that Fox News has the green light to go after Rick Scott on it. So I just want to read again for you through some of his plans so you can see how pathetic it is and how dumb it is. And this is why Mitch McConnell didn't want him to do this, because these ideas are stupid. So the very first thing in his policy plan, ready? Our kids will say the Pledge of Allegiance. What? They will salute the flag. They will learn that America is a great country and choose the school that best fits them. So in the first plank, it's school privatization and let's do enforced patriotism on them. So, and these guys always scream about like propaganda in our schools, left-wing propaganda in our schools. Their solution to that is let's do right-wing propaganda. Let's make our kids uber nationalists. So don't teach the good and the bad, just teach the good about America. That's what he wants. And be blindly patriotic, salute the flag, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is the first thing in his 11-point policy plan. Then his second thing, government will never again ask American citizens to disclose their race, ethnicity, or skin color on any government form. Brave, thank you very much. Then we have safety and crime. The soft-on-crime days of coddling criminal behavior will end. Yes, because I remember when Democrats in Congress passed the Let's Coddle Criminals bill. This is just another way of doubling down and tripling down on the drug war and locking up more nonviolent offenders. We will refund and respect the police because they, not the criminals, are the good guys. Nobody passed the defund the police bill in the House of Representatives or the Senate. What are you babbling about? What are you babbling about? Police budgets are sky high. He's like, well, we need to fund them even more. Well, congrats on your bold stance. Immigration. We will secure our border, finish building the wall, and name it after President Donald Trump. Growth. We will grow America's economy, starve Washington's economy, and stop socialism. Stop the non-existent socialism that is taking over the country. Government reform and debt. We will eliminate all federal programs that can be done locally. Jesus Christ, that's getting rid of like any federal program. And enact term limits for federal bureaucrats in Congress. 7. We will protect the integrity of American democracy and stop left-wing efforts to rig elections. Clear wink and nod to January 6th and the Stop the Steal conspiracy theorists who are dead wrong about it, as has been proven in court even by Republican judges. Number 8, family. We will protect, defend, and promote the American family at all costs. My guess is this is a shot at the LGBTQ community and trans people and things of that nature. Number 9, another one, gender, life, and science. Men are men, women are women, and unborn babies are babies. We believe in science. These aren't even policy proposals. Men are men, women are women, and unborn babies are babies. We believe in science. Yeah, you believe in science, which is why, what? The overwhelming majority of you guys deny climate change? Why there's been a lot of outright flirting with anti-vaxxers among the Republican caucus? You believe in science. My ass cheeks, you believe in science. Number 10, Americans will be free to welcome God into all aspects of our lives. Number 11, we are Americans, not globalists. I find that one hilarious because it's the Republicans who have supported every single outsourcing deal. They love shipping jobs overseas and padding the bottom line of corporate behemoths. That's what they like doing. But now they're virtue signaling like, us? We're not globalists. We're nationalists. We don't want to outsource jobs like the globalists do. And the other thing, of course, look, a lot of that, I don't know if this is how Rick Scott meant it, but when a lot of people on the far right say the globalists, they're signaling the Jews. That's what. Now, again, I don't know if that's how Rick Scott used it. I'm not going to cast aspersions unless I see more evidence on that front. But in conspiracy circles, oftentimes, when people bring that up, it's they are using a dog whistle to really refer to the Jews. By the way, this part also says, America will be dependent on no other country. We will conduct no trade that takes away jobs or displaces American workers. Their voting record is the opposite. Countries who oppose us at the UN will get zero financial help from us. We will be energy independent and build supply chains that never rely on our adversaries. I wish we did that, but we're, of course, not going to do that. We will only help countries that are willing to defend themselves, like Israel. That's unbelievable, these guys. Unbelievable. And by the way, the energy independence thing, based. So you want to nationalize the oil industry? You want to nationalize oil and natural gas? Oh, that's right. You don't. You want the private corporations to have it, and then they don't sell it domestically. They don't use it domestically. They export all the oil. So they say, oh, energy independence. You don't want to nationalize the oil industry. You don't want to do a Green New Deal to get us to green and renewable technology, which would make us self-sufficient. No, they don't want to do it. Oh, Rick Scott, he is the worst. He is not a good politician. He imploded. And by the way, he did the worst Medicare fraud in the history of the country. Bet you didn't know that. That's how big of a scumbag he is. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.